Yeah, I know. Typical new YouTuber. Only does 2 videos and expects either of them to reach over 1k views, and since that didn't happen, he just decides to quit and leave the channel forever. Actually, that didn't happen. You see, after uploading my last video, my graphics card decided that it was the perfect time to retire. And by retire, I mean it just decided to stop working, which led me to activate its warranty, and so I had to sit there patiently during 1 month waiting for it to be fixed. Well, the good news is that it's fixed, but you know what I've been doing during this last month? Well, obviously besides working because, I like money and I need it to survive, I have also been playing one of my favorite franchises, Sonic the Hedgehog. Wait, not that one, it's actually these ones. It's always a joy to play these classic games, although the platform that I did choose was not the one that you are probably thinking about. Screw Sonic Origins, screw the mobile ports, although they are very good, and screw the Sonic Gems collection. I have been playing, in my opinion, one of the best collections for these classic games. Yeah, I'm talking about Sonic Gem for the Sega Saturn. Did you actually know that all of these games are not being emulated? Yeah, back then Sonic Team actually ported these games for the Sega Saturn and designed them specifically to this platform. That's why in Sonic 1 you can enable the spin dash. Not to mention the beautiful Sonic world that allows you to experience Sonic in 3D for the very first time. While I was playing Sonic 1, I was thinking to myself, it would be very cool to play a beta or maybe even an alpha version of the game, just to see the differences that they have when compared to the final version. Look at Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and its 2 famous prototypes, the Naka arcade prototype and the Simon Y prototype. Each one provides a different snapshot of the game's evolution, showing levels and features that were modified or cut entirely. I mean, both versions contain a level that was cut from the final release, which is the Hidden Palace. And look at Nick Arcade prototype with its interesting feature of Sonic colliding with the walls at high speed. Yeah, it was honestly a good idea to remove this. I know what you're going to say. But Skotech, there is a prototype version that was found for Sonic 1. Look, Hidden Palace streamed it, and there's that famous ball that sometimes appeared in magazine screenshots. I hear you, and I do remember seeing that live stream when it happened, but I'm talking about an even earlier version of Sonic 1. A version that honestly, in my opinion, will never be released and can be considered lost media forever. I'm talking about the Sonic the Hedgehog 1 Tokyo Toy Show 1990 prototype that was shown off to the public.
メッセでやってる90年東京おもちゃショーに来れば全部わかるんですよ。さあここが会場ど真ん中にあります楽しさ無限大セガのブースです。ありました。ずらりと並んでます。ゲームやりたいな。
But first, what exactly is a Tokyo Toy Show? Well, this is a trade show held in Japan where toy companies, game developers, and other entertainment brands showcase their upcoming products to the industry and the public. As you guessed, Sonic 1 was shown off for the very first time in this trade show. So, what exactly do we know about this prototype? Well, first of all, the title screen looks completely different, since there is no background and it's just a solid color of black. The level shown off was Green Hill Zone, although if you compare it to the final release, it's much darker, almost like it's about to be nighttime, and if you look closely, it's also missing those flowers that normally appear in the final version. Also, these mountains look completely different when compared to the final release, and these blue-like structures don't show up at all. Sonic's idle animation is also completely different since in the Tokyo Toy Show build, his arms are extending forward and backward, while in the final version his arms are more close to his legs. When Sonic runs to the right, his sprite also contains some differences when compared to the final release, because as you can see in the prototype his ears are facing forward, while in the final release it's facing the camera. Now this is a big change. What you see in these images are an enemy was completely removed from the final game, and it's actually based from this artwork created by Naoto Oshima, although in this artwork he has yellow gloves and his skin color is purple, while in the prototype he has red gloves and his skin is in a bluish color. You pathetic little thing. This must have been such a useless dunce that ended up being removed entirely from the final game. After passing this enemy, Sonic comes across a sign that says, "You are welcome. Never..." Never open. I mean, I know the dev team probably didn't know much English, but this was an interesting choice of words. After passing the sign, Sonic comes across the same enemy, but this time he jumps over him. And yeah, he has no animation whatsoever. I'll bet all my money that this wasn't intended and they were going to add an animation, but just in case, I'm glad they changed it to the iconic ball animation. After this, Sonic runs on a horizontal plane, and then the words appear that say, "Debut approaching," and then the demo resets. Wait, that's it? Well, yeah, that's what pretty much happened in the demo, since it was something that lasted about a minute to a minute and a half. But there is still an important question to be asked. Was this an actual playable demo? Well, according to the research I did, there are basically two teams. You have Team A that says that it was a playable demo that the public could try, and Team B says that it was an auto-scroll demo that you could only watch. A lot of people say that this was an auto demo, but as you can see in this image where the Sonic 1 prototype was located, there are Sega Genesis that allow people to test out the games. Not to mention that one of the creators of Sonic the Hedgehog, Yuji Naka, said in a 2011 interview with Games Radar the following regarding the images about the prototype.
Actually, yes, these are authentic, and it was something that was playable. In 1990, the team created a demo for a toy show. There was no TGS, so the major show to go at the time was this toy show. So they used this as a playable demo to show what Sonic would be like, and to show the breakneck speed that Sonic has. This actually has got 7 layers of background scrolling. The tree is one layer. A lot of effort went into creating it. I am looking for this ROM. It's gone. Nowhere to be found. These photos are very rare. Would like this photo.
Now at that time, he was remembering something from over 20 years ago, but in the Electronics Gaming Monthly 1991 issue, younger Yuji Naka also states that the Tokyo Toy Show 90 build was a playable demo intended to show what the finished game would be like. The last piece of trivia is that Sonic Team actually intended to put this exact prototype as a playable build in the Sonic Mega Collection, but those at lost the ROM of the prototype, so this never happened, but at least it's another piece of evidence that this build was in fact playable. This is what Yuji Naka had to say about it.
And another thing to add to that is we worked really hard to find this software. It must exist somewhere. We created a build for it. When we created Sonic Mega Collection, we thought it would be a great addition to have. The original prototype that we used. The first one shown in the world. But it's just nowhere to be found, and it's such a great shame that we can't find it. I'm really happy to see it, because I haven't seen those pictures at all.
So yeah, the Sonic Mega Collection, besides being an awesome collection to experience old Sonic games, was also going to be the only way you could experience this prototype. With this being said, is there any way to experience this prototype? Well, let me see here. No, not this. Almost perfect, but it's not this. There we go. I think this will suffice. What you see here is a modified Sonic 1 ROM done by the channel Sonic Debut, and it was designed to be as faithful as possible to the original Tokyo Toy Show prototype. This ROM hack was actually done 3 years ago, so there are some inconsistencies since some known information wasn't available at the time, like the bottom of the sign saying everyone instead of never open. Other than this, the ROM hack is pretty faithful. You have the same sky, the same enemy, Sonic's sprite is close to the actual photos, so it's a really well done ROM hack. The last thing to say is, I know I said this will probably never be released and can be considered lost media forever, but there's still a chance. I mean, Nintendo and Sony, back in the early 90s, were supposed to create a console together, and they ended up creating around 200 prototypes of a console, which is commonly known as the Nintendo PlayStation. And then voila, in 2015 we got video proof of a prototype that was still working. So there's still a slight chance that the same could happen with the Sonic build. Well, if you like this video, please hit that like button and consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it. And of course, thank you for watching the true origins of Sonic the Hedgehog.